Okay, so welcome to another MCA tour. Today we are joined by Gamrock, xRicheyx, and Patrick O'Brien. We are going over, well, their lane thing, I suppose, in the historic world. Gamrock, he is not in vent today, so we will not really hear anything from him.
His name is actually Gromrock.
And this is Mr. Richie with the old-fashioned BB stick. He is a giant Lego man.
A Lego Rock Raider.
Okay, Lego Rock Raider. I'm sorry. And Patrick O'Brien, he is a giant Duke Nukem.
I'm adorable, leave me alone.
So now we're coming up to the greenhouse, or as you call the greenhouse. Your trees are ridiculously placed so they'll never grow.
They're called high tunnels, and the reason I built this is because in the same year that I ended up building this, I pretty much built a large one of these.
In real life.
In real life, yeah. And this is actually scaled up a bit, but the one that we had was very big. In fact, we fit quite a few trucks in it, and it has lots of crops. Obviously not sugarcane and trees, and you know, we might have watermelons, I'm not sure now. But, you know, this is just a great farm. I like it. I never really do anything with it anymore.
The architecture always reminds me of a train station.
I enjoy it. I like it. I think big stone structures with glass panes and everything, I think they make great gardens.
So this is your giant chest.
This is the chest, which looked a lot better on the inside before the update where chests became smaller than full blocks because they actually were like tied against these walls here. But
you do know that the chest can now stack vertically. You have another nether representation down here.
Yeah, this is where we keep all the nether items though, so it's fancy. I believe it was Godspeed's helped me design that.
Yeah, your vault is bigger than my vault.
Yeah, and actually we're gonna redo the vault because it's not very organized right now. Yeah, and there's a ladder on both ends.
And on the second floor you have crafting chests on the floor, which is awesome.
And they're on the ceilings, but nobody ever realizes that the bottom of a crafting table is actually planks. So they're actually on the bottom floor too. Nobody ever realizes that. But so pretty much no matter where you are in this place, you're gonna have access to workbenches. And then the very top's where we keep all of our wool and our valuable stuff. It's a little different than the other two floors.
Wait, it's completely different. No, it's much taller actually in here. So this is your top floor, which has all your special items. And these are furnaces on the ground, right?
There's no need for furnaces really on the bottom floors, but you know, since we got iron ore, iron ingots, then you know, stuff that needs to be smelted. And then we have smelting rooms elsewhere, especially in the build world. That's where we do most of the work. We just store stuff here. And that's the chest. It's simple.
So going through the town, we have on one side a white building, but I'm not drawn to that right away. I'm drawn to this big dome, the big PvP dome. So this was one of your first builds, right?
This is my first big build. 2 weeks onto the server is when we laid the foundation for this. This is before I had ever heard of Spleef, so I had no intention of it being a Spleef arena. So pretty much what it was is, if you look at it, I made it with the intention of maybe PvP being enabled and maybe dynamite being used in PvP areas. So it's all built around obsidian, and underneath that sand is a layer of obsidian. So the intention that people could use dynamite, hopefully without it blowing up these outside areas, and then being repairable. So, and if it's actually, it can be easily converted into a Spleef arena because it has a big pit underneath the center, and there's no real legit way of getting up here. But when you get up here, if you look straight up, it's like the announcing tower kind of thing, and I have access to these levers up here that close all the doors.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
And now you're locked.
Yeah, see? No.
You know, it works really well. So there's 4 staging areas. I don't know, we never really used it. In fact, obviously it's not in PvP, but I was hoping if they ever open up a PvP kind of world that we could get that imported. Lake Alpine, or Alpine Lake, whatever Eagle decided to name it. And this was Eagle Jake helped me with this. It's a completely man-made lake. Nothing too special, but there is sugar cane coated at the bottom. It looks like seaweed, which is nice. And I'm actually not sure if you can do that anymore.
You can actually see under the water here. There is actual cane here. Now, if I turn on a setting here, I can light up the bottom here, and I can see where the fake ground just turns into a bunch of water, and you can see how the lake was actually built.
There was big sand patches, and I didn't like that because I wanted an all foresty grassland biome. So I dug all this out, and all of the sand actually went towards all the glass that you see, and also the sandstone museum.
After stealing my my lake idea, you like made it huger. Mine was like a pond though.
Yeah, Brian made a pond. It wasn't a lake. It was a pond, yes. And then actually Eagle Jake was lurking around on my land and was like, "Hey, this needs to be bigger." And he started doing it, and I was like, "Man, I'm bored. I'll help him." And so now I give him credit for this. Not many things on this land I'll give Eagle credit for. He's Richie's little helper, or at least was at one point.
He's everybody's little helper. He's awesome.
This is the actual definition of Alpine City, which you'll sometimes see it in the forum, sometimes in chat. Sometimes you'll hear, you know, women obsessing over how sexy it is. Here's the inn. Every server I've ever played on, for more than 24 hours, I've built this exact inn. This is like my standardized inn. I've built it in very interesting places, sometimes on cliff sides. This one wasn't very interesting.
No, this one's just a generic one. And obviously, there's probably duplicate pictures for you, Patrick.
Actually, on one server that I played on, this was like, they just started up, and I just found it on Reddit that they just started a new creative, or survival server. And I went and found the materials, I built this, and it ended up being like their center, like their spawn. And I don't know if that server's still operating, but it got expanded upon, but it was still, if you go in here, it was all this stuff, but it was plastered with signs and stuff. So I don't know if that server's still operating, but I just like that idea that there's some server out there that this inn is, yeah, it's an original design, and it's not an amazing design, but I like it.
Let's go back over to this big white building that caught my eye earlier.
Town hall, yes. This is, like I said earlier, when I liked that whole idea of a community living together, having jobs, each having a responsibility and coexist, you know, that's the kind of, as hippie as that sounds. There used to be...
From the basics of this, you can even like make this town city law kind of like a server city law if you had like your own. And all the names here, you've got like Jeff Guard, EK, Patrick, Arcona, I haven't seen that person in a long time. Moments, Morden. Man, I haven't seen a lot of these people.
Yeah, there actually used to be quite a few names on here, and they were pretty much just new people. There was a guy named Sax Guy. I don't know what happened to him. And there used to be a sign plaque over here that had a bunch of jobs, and everybody had a job. Like, some person collected wood, some person built on the big wall that, you know, that separated our claim, some people cleared land, and all this stuff. But it never really worked out because people got lazy and then they got their own claim.
So, on this side we can see Gamrock's big, you know, castle. But at the same time, we have this very interesting, like, wood house made by this is your house.
This is my house. This is the only house I've really legitimately had. But, you know, I think I've been in it 5 times since I finished it.
You know, what? I don't know what this picture is for you, but it's very interesting to me. To me, it shows a snowman with a pumpkin head throwing a snowball at a spider.
See, for me, it's just a ton of pixels on the default one. It's just a bunch of random pixels. I can't make it out what it is. This isn't Tigger. This is before Tigger. And this is Switchy. Actually, I was on Reddit, and I saw someone do this, and they're like, "Hey, this was before NPC Villagers. I think it was when NPC Villagers were announced." And someone was like, "Hey, I already have NPC Villagers." And they made a whole house of this, and the Forever Alone joke saying that they have a server full of people, you know. And I liked it, so I made it. And he's waving. It's Switchy, the only citizen of Alpine that's always here.
I think Tigger started using it as an idea for his calling card. Police department?
Whatever.
Okay. Oh, there's actually a jail here. You added some of this.
Yeah. This is actually a lot of Alpine. You'll see, even though it's old, you'll see blocks that were. Yeah, I updated a lot of stuff that went from using cobblestone to like stone bricks and stuff, and like iron bars. Those used to be wooden fences down there, and now they're iron bars just because. The one building that hasn't been updated is Jeff Gar's church over here, which is cobblestone, which, like most people, I have a hatred for cobblestone, but Jeff Gar was banned. This is another part of Jeff Gar's, he called it the crypt. And,
oh man, Michael Jackson,
so,
alligator hunter, what? RIP, you. Do not grief coffin. Justin Bieber, Jesus, Billy May.
If you grief the coffin, actually, you can grief the coffin. And then in here,
Jeff Gar.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I put his name on there after he was banned. And here's the main hub for the subway. And this is not this is not the server subway. This is Alpine subway. It doesn't go as deep. I didn't do much to it. It's kind of plain, but I think I don't know if I finished it down here. You know, I think the story of subways in general, no matter where you are. No, me and Brian made this subway actually. We spent a lot of time. High-tech construction crew. Him being on the top, or me being on the top, him being on the bottom. Well, that sounded weird, but he would be underground and I would be above, and he would just watch me. And then later on, we found out that he would follow my name that was floating above him, know where to dig. Then later we found out about the F3 thing. So, and this is where Jeff Gar made a crappy cobblestone house and built a massive dungeon kind of thing into it, and then I took down the cobblestone house and covered up the dungeon area with dirt, and then later on K-King inherited this land.
Yeah, this is
inherited this land.
K-Kilkits. I wish K-King was here to say, like, pronounce this. K-Kilkits. K-Kilkits. Yeah, I don't even it's K-King and Kalio's building.
K-Kiltzik. It's Russian.
As always, they always make like really ridiculously intricate buildings. This is supposed to be a window or something. It's really cool because they used ice.
The ice is a really nice touch. You can see down here how he turned the dungeon into a nice Zen garden, which is nice. I'm glad he did that because I'm not a fan. I'm glad he did
oh, that's cool. I did not notice that before. That's cool.
This was a really ugly dungeon basement thing before from Jeff Gar, but now it is rather nice, and I like it.
See, so K-King's like a bringer of peace. He turns a dungeon into a Zen garden.
Yeah, like this is. I have to like give K-King props. This is a really good build here.
And he's actually one of the first times I mean, I could be wrong here, but I have not seen building with just raw iron ore. Like, you know, a lot of people don't do that.
No, not a lot of people do it.